name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That's fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
You are fabulous. That's what I say anyway. All right, if you're a dad who's listening to this and you've got a wife somewhere, please go get her. And you're welcome to listen as well. Welcome to the Channelmom Show. This is your show, moms, where we celebrate you as a mother. And we don't just do kind of superficial stuff. We really do things that can help you in your mothering life, advice and all kinds of information and tips and motivation. And we've got some great inspirational, motivational speakers. So stick around because we've got a really good one coming up today. My name is Jenny Dean Schmidt, your host and a mother myself. We really do want to meet moms where they're at so we can remind them of how important their job is really to the creator of the universe. It just is. Without moms, the world would no longer go around. And we would also like to equip you to do your job even better. Okay, we're going to help you out with your schedule this morning by doing a little something I like to call appointment setting. Moms are all about smashing everything into an hour, so we're going to try to tell you what you need to smash into this hour. At about 8:10, we're going to have the news, which features a tearjerker about a soldier and his dog, and research that reveals how to determine if your child is at a higher risk for autism. Also some surprising news on divorce. And a tidbit about the bride-to-be who is refusing to look in the mirror for a whole year. Okay, I can't even get by without 10 minutes. Isn't that awful? I have to look way too often. Then at 8:22, we will have a comedian, basically, who also happens to be a mom and has some hilarious stories and life lessons that we can all learn from. She wrote Mom Needs Chocolate. It's one of her books. Sounds like a good one. And Too Blessed to Be Stressed, which I've been reading. Deborah Cody is on the show today, so stay tuned for her. She has some really great advice. But first, my commentary. It is a shorty today, and it goes like this. It's about a little song.
And who do you think you are? Running around leaving scars, collecting a jar of hearts.
Okay. So here's the deal. I'm working on the computer, and my 8-year-old daughter comes up to me with a plastic microphone in hand, calmly closes her eyes, contorts her face, and begins to belt out the words verbatim to this song. Oh yeah, at age 8, she's got romantic angst, and she sings it like Janis Joplin. This is her. She comes up to me, Shell. By the way, welcome, Shelly. Shelly's here.
Good morning.
She's our videographer, and I'm sure Shelly can picture my daughter doing this. She comes up to me. I'm on the computer, being very serious. She's in the bedroom. She's got her eyes closed. And she does and who do you think you are? And she's 8. She does the whole thing, running around, leaving scars, collecting your jar of hearts and tearing love apart. And now imagine an 8-year-old doing this. And this is her favorite part. You're going to catch a cold from the ice inside your soul. She looks at me and says that. So don't come back for me. Who do you think you are? And so she does this whole thing. And
my daughters sing it too, by the way.
Do they?
Oh, in the car. Very loud.
Yeah. But
yes.
with the total emotion. And
yeah.
Yeah. So we do have Christina Perry to thank for that song. Thanks, Dan, for playing that. Mimicked by my 8-year-old. And here's the point. Your children do listen to and watch what you listen to and watch. They just do. Now, I actually tend to listen to a lot of Christian rock and pop music because basically it's much safer for my kids. But I am sure that I've had Christina Perry on in my car. Every once in a while I flip around and get some fun songs like that. And I'm sure my daughter heard it. I know she did. She heard it with your girls too. Singing it with your girls. I do not actually see a particular problem with this song, but I am positive that there are other things that I listen to or do in a day, or maybe that you listen to or do in a day that you don't want your kids to mimic. It's just the truth. I think that we often just let it go, or we try not to think about it, or if it's something that we really feel like saying or doing that day, we just do it, whether our kids are watching or not. So if you're being bitter, guess who's going to learn the bitter words? And if you're going to be judgmental or feeling sorry for yourself, get a glimpse of a shorter version of you doing the exact same stuff. Sometimes I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, wow. Because
it's so much worse to see it coming back from them.
It is. It is. I have watched it happen. Now, on the positive side, if I'm speaking positive words, encouraging or affirming my kids, I then see the same kind of stuff come out of their mouths with their friends. I'm like, wow, look at them being so encouraging to their friends. Well, I've done the same thing for them. And if I like a certain song, even if my car dancing embarrasses them, they often like that same song too, you know? In fact, did you know that a recent poll shows that moms are the biggest influence on their children when it comes to their financial habits? People list moms more than anything else about how they use their finances when they grow up, which I find very interesting. But again, that tells you the influence thing. So I do want to say this, just enjoy the influence that you have on your children. But if you love your kids, focus on being a good influence. Now, I know this has been said a million times before, that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and
but it doesn't.
It doesn't. And I think sometimes I think we need to repeat it. That's why I'm saying it this morning, because gosh, what a great and wonderful responsibility. I mean, some people are, they're just too tired to try to do it well, but I just encourage you to try to do it well, because you can have somebody grow up and look fabulous if you can look fabulous for them. Not always, but most of the time, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun when you see good stuff come out of your kids after you've done it, right?
Well, good stuff. Then it reminds you to behave more like that.
Yeah, that's right. When I see bad stuff coming on my kids, I have to lock myself in a closet for 10 minutes and remind myself.
What have I done to cause this?
Yeah, right. Or how can I not be like they're being right now? Yeah, because then I just stoop to that level. All right, Dan, it's time for the news.
If you're tired of the same old news,
What more do you want?
I want the truth.
You're hearing it. Strap yourselves in, folks.
never fear.
What's the dealio?
Part of life is learning to let things go.
We've got news moms can use.
What was that name again? I missed that.
News moms can use.
In the news this week, we have got the latest stories, and we picked them based on what we think moms want or need to hear, or maybe what my parents want or need to hear. They're faithful listeners, my mom and dad.
Of course, because she's your mom.
That's right.
And he's your dad. I mean, but of course they are.
Yeah. I mean, I honor dads on this show too, but yeah, my mom would have to watch, wouldn't she? It's called the Channelmom Show, and she's the one that gave birth to me. And today, I have to at least say within the news, I know that Irene is hitting the East Coast, so we don't want to ignore that, but it has been downgraded, I think, to a category 1.
It has.
Yeah. So I think people aren't as concerned about that. But we do also have the latest news on the bride-to-be, who will not look in the mirror, some news on which children are most likely to have autism, and research about divorce that might surprise you. But first, if I can get through this story without crying, did you see the photo of the dog by the casket?
I didn't see it, and I'm glad.
Oh. I mean, actually, I would encourage people to go look at it, because it's one of those truth-telling photos just about all kinds of things. Men who serve our country, war, the loyalty of a pet, family. I mean, it just says so many things. But this story actually practically tears my heart out. A young man who was serving our country as a Navy SEAL, Officer John Tummelson, died earlier this month, and his dog is still serving his owner, even in death. Tummelson was among 30 U.S. troops and 22 fellow Navy SEALs who died when their helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan earlier this month. At Tummelson's funeral this week, people were met with an emotional scene played out by Tummelson's dog, Hawkeye. Hawkeye, a Labrador retriever who had been Tummelson's loyal companion, apparently went up to the casket, heaved a sigh, and then lay down on his side in front of Tummelson's casket. I mean, he almost looks as though he's dying when you look at the picture. The dog does. Reports say that the dog could not be coaxed to leave that position. He just stayed there. The picture is all over the internet, but be prepared, it is very difficult to look at. So if you just put in Tummelson, or you put in Hawkeye, or dog by casket, you can take a look at it, and it'll bring a little perspective to your life.
I believe God gave us pets to experience that level of love. Nobody loves you no matter what.
Yeah.
Nobody, not even your husband, not even your mom.
Yeah.
But a pet will.
Even in death, and he knows I really believe he knows that his master is in that casket. Oh, it's just painstaking. Anyway, yeah. I guess it's painstaking. See, since my parents listen, I actually have to edit myself, because I think, maybe that's the wrong use of that word, because my parents are both sticklers for that sort of thing.
It was a good word, though. It had many syllables.
Thank you. All righty, here's a question. Could you go for a whole year without looking in a mirror, Shell?
I don't think so.
Even if it was your wedding day?
I would love to talk to her and find out what her motivation is.
I've been contacting her all week to see if she'll come on the show. So maybe she'll come on the show eventually. All right, that is what Kirsten Grease is aiming to do. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right, but I'm trying. And reportedly, she's doing this because she hopes that the experiment will make her less obsessed with her looks, even if it will not stop her from wearing makeup. She's still wearing makeup, by the way. According to her blog, Mirror, Mirror Off the Wall, which I went to read the other day, Grease had the idea of a mirrorless life after reading a book about an order of nuns who vowed not to, quote, look on human flesh, neither their own nor anyone else's. As a graduate student in sociology, Grease decided to abstain from looking at her own image in the mirror for a full year. In her opening post, she writes, "My values and behaviors have been at odds, and this would be the step back from vanity that I needed." She asks all kinds of questions, though, like, how can I do it? What's the effect going to be on my professional life? Are people going to be annoyed if I'm not looking fantastic? She wants to know if it's really even possible to remove mirrors from her life. But she is, at this point, trying to wean herself off of mirrors for a year. And I think she's on month 5 or 6. Knowing that she's going to be getting married and vowing not to look in the mirror on her wedding day, the bride-to-be admits something very interesting, Shelley. She says, "I'm still a romantic. I'm still the little girl who looked at my parents' wedding photos and wondered, hopefully, if I would look as beautiful on my wedding day as my mother did on hers. How can I merge these seemingly conflicting desires? How do I stay true to my values without becoming a martyr for this cause?"
I don't think it's conflicting, though. I think she can still want to be beautiful and lovely without having it become the whole focus.
Right.
It doesn't have to be conflicting.
No, but I get it. I mean, we do emphasize appearance so much in our society that I find that I'm spending far too much time on it sometimes. And I think, oh my gosh, think of all the people in my life who could use a little help, or, the moms that I'm trying to minister to out there, that I could pay more attention to that, or whatever it is, my children, my husband. And instead I'm putting mascara on. So I get where she's coming from.
But is she doing it, if she were trying to look beautiful for her husband for that day?
Yeah.
I mean, traditionally it sounds like she's doing it for herself.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, her husband's, by the way, her fiance is very supportive. He thinks it's cool that she's doing this. He's her biggest cheerleader, he says. So that's nice. And she does, by the way, everybody apply mascara and so on. I don't know how she does it, but she does.
I think I could do it. I've done it for so long. I think I could do it without a mirror.
Okay. Well, Facebook is about that. If you can do it too. All right, and we only have a minute or two left. We may have to save some of these for the next segment. New information on autism this morning. This story from Health Day News. Younger siblings of a child with an autism spectrum disorder have a nearly 1 in 5 chance of being diagnosed with autism as well. This is much higher than previous estimates, according to a new study. The researchers found that 18.7% of children, almost 20%, who had a sibling with autism also went on to receive an autism diagnosis by their 3rd birthday. And the risk is significantly higher for boys and those with more than one autistic sibling. Wow. I mean,
there's nothing, you can't do anything about that information. I wish it was something more like avoid this food or.
Right.
That's
true.
It sounds genetic.
So true. So true. All right. One more quick story, I think, and then we're going to go to break. It's a new way to predict the likelihood of divorce, and this may be one that you've never heard before. Today's show financial editor Jean Chatzky says we worry more about money than our kids, health, and marriages. Research has shown that in couples that build more debt, the divorce rate is substantially higher, but if a couple has a habit of saving, they're more likely to stay together. Chatsky is a believer in the purchasing pause. Pause before you make a purchase. Go away for a couple hours and then come back if you really still need it. And ask what happens to me if I buy this and what happens if I don't. That's great advice. We should all be able to do that, don't you think? Fabulous, fabulous. Also, toxic friends. 84% of women have a toxic friend in their life. We're going to talk about that next week. But coming up, Deborah Cody. She's definitely going to help you with stress and messiness and all kinds of things. She's really fabulous. So Deborah Cody up next. Please come back.